Welcome back. Finally, we're off to the Isle of Wight. It was a 3 o'clock start, ready to catch our ferry at 7:20 from Portsmouth. The drive was pretty good. There wasn't much traffic. We did get some rain though towards the M25, but I'll be completely honest with you, massive thanks to Callum for getting us there safely, as other than these few little bits, I did actually sleep most of the way. Didn't really do me any favours as I was still tired when we got there. But yeah, this was our little journey over to the Isle of Wight. I woke up and the sun had finally started to come up. Took a little pic with Callum, nice and fuzzy, and then we entered Portsmouth. We actually arrived before McDonald's opened, so we just hung around outside waiting for Cal's mum and dad. Once they got there, we grabbed some breakfast and it was off to the ferry terminal to board our boat. So you get in this little queue and go to the hut and they tell you which lane to go in. So that was us just being told where to go. I think it was 23 we headed for, short wait, and then that's it. We were off and ready to be boarded. Parked Dobby up and headed upstairs to the viewing deck. I like to spend the journey outside, just like to take it all in and just enjoy the journey really. It's about 45 minutes. The boys were watching from the back. Most of this trip you can hear the car alarms going off, but luckily Dobby behaved. You get an absolutely amazing view of Portsmouth Gunwharf Quays and the big Spinnaker Tower. It was actually a nice day at this point, so I think probably we was about not even 8 o'clock yet. That was us back to the car and getting unloaded. This bit is so good because you know that you're on holiday. The holiday has officially started, no more travelling, and off we went to explore the island as usual. So we went straight to Ryde Seafront, had a little walk around, and then we left Dobby in a side street and went in the father-in-law's car for a drive around the island, headed straight to Culver Down, and there were some wild cows just on the side of the road. I was in the back, so this is me out the window trying to get the cows' attention. But it was lovely up there. It was super windy. The first day was kind of a mix of weathers. It wasn't really that warm. But there was no rain at this point, so we were all good. Callum just stomping around his castle, had a lovely little walk actually around that area. It was really, really nice. And then back down the hill, saw the cows again. We then made our way to Shanklin and used the cliff lift to get us from the top down to the beachfront. And that was a lift that was £1 to ride. It was very different to what we expected. We thought there'd be some spectacular views, however, it was just a lift. But anyway, it was good fun nevertheless. And then we grabbed an ice cream down the bottom and then grabbed Dobby, headed back to Ryde, paid for some parking on the front, and me and Cal had a nap. Later that evening, we met up with the islanders and had a lovely dinner in this really nice pub in Binstead. It was, I think it was called the Fleming Arms. I'm not too sure, I can't remember, but it was lovely. Callum was keeping Lottie entertained. And then that was it for the evening. We went to find our first park up, which we went to Ryde Seafront. Got a lovely view of Portsmouth. It was a beautiful, beautiful day the next day. The sun was out and we woke up right next to the beach. However, there was quite a bit of noise in the night from boy racers, so I'm not sure that we'll use this park up again, but we'll see. headed straight over to Tracy and Darren's and grabbed a shower, which was really kind of them. I went down the garden with Darren to see his beautiful fish, and we then headed out for the day. We actually went to Cowes today. It was beautiful sunshine. We had a wander around the town, watched the boats coming in and out, then headed off to Yarmouth, and there we had a lovely lunch. I went for a tuna salad and Callum had a ploughman's, walked up and down the pier and just enjoyed ourselves really. It was beautiful weather, as I say, so hot, everybody was out and about. The best time to see the island. We jumped back in Dobby and made our way to freshwater. This is one of my mother and father-in-law's favourite beaches, so we took some time here, got our camping chairs out and sat up the top enjoying an ice cream. I dipped my toes in the water. There was loads and loads and loads of seaweed on the shore of this beach, as you can see in this video here, but it was really, really lovely. It probably got to about 20 degrees here, but it was so warm. There wasn't really a lot of wind as it was sheltered from the cliffs. Lots of people out on their paddle boards. We didn't actually bring ours this trip, but I did bring the rubber ring. We then drove along the coastal road and got out at this little car park area, which, oh my goodness, this was incredible. I've never seen cliffs like this. We were literally on the edge of the cliff, keeping a safe distance still, obviously, but the views were so breathtaking. I FaceTimed my dad up here, and even from the FaceTime he was like, wow, that is absolutely incredible. So we spent a little bit of time there. It would be the perfect place to bring a little picnic and just sit and watch the sunset go down. We then turned around, made our way back and headed off for some dinner at the White Mouse. We didn't go here last time, but the family did. They really enjoyed it, so we came with the mother and father-in-law and just enjoyed a really nice dinner. It was still warm out, the sun was shining. I went for scampi and chips. Callum had fish and chips. Then back to Ryde to watch the sunset. The sky was so orange tonight. It was absolutely beautiful. There wasn't many people around, so we just had a little walk along the front, saw this really cool camper which was called White Trash, but yeah, he's got his whole life by the looks of it in that van, but it was pretty cool. We then went to our next park up, which was at Seaview. This is where we stayed in April in the house with Callum's family and granddad. But yeah, we loved it here. It was so nice. We laid with the door open, just watching, listening to the waves, and this was what we woke up to in the morning. We got ourselves up, packed the van up and headed straight to the beach, set up our camp. At this point we were the only ones on the beach. Straight down to dip our toes in. It was so warm. Because it's so shallow in the Isle of Wight, it doesn't get deep until quite a way out. The water heats up really nicely. It was so warm. So as I say, we got our kit off and went in the sea. Callum's mum and dad arrived and joined us. They also headed straight into the sea. This was a little time lapse. Unfortunately, the camera wasn't up high enough to see us mucking about in the sea, but Callum did get a few little clips. So I'll pop them in the next slide for you guys to enjoy. Today is Abby's 30th birthday, which is Callum's cousin, so her mum Tracy made her a sand cake and brought a sprinkler candle, and we all sang happy birthday to her on the beach.
Happy birthday, dear Abby. Happy birthday to you.
We also went out with all of the family for a nice dinner to celebrate, and then the four of us headed to Shanklin Chine, which is something that I've wanted to do each time we come here, but we just don't get round to it. So basically it is the oldest attraction apparently in the Isle of Wight, and they've got like illuminations there, so all the trees are lit up. There's a beautiful waterfall. They've now just introduced some dinosaurs, but it was just incredible. When we went to Cornwall, it's a little bit like Helligan's Garden, but just on a different scale really. But it was so lovely. We wandered round at dusk so we could get the most use out of the lights. I think when you buy a ticket, you then get a 7-day entry for the rest of your trip if you wanted to. But we just used it the once and really enjoyed ourselves. We got some lovely photos and some really cool videos. After a really magical walk, we wandered back to the car via the little shops, which were really lovely. I love this little high street town area, whatever you want to call it. Then it was back to Seaview for our park up. We love it here. We felt so safe. It was so calming. We laid for ages with the door open. We actually caught some fireworks, which was really cool. Literally as we sat on the wall, they started going off. So we watched them. There's me with my Pringles, and it was bedtime, so we jumped in the van, kept the door open as I say for a little bit and just listened to the water. And here we go, another spectacular view from our bed. The sun was still out, it was a little bit windier today. We treated ourselves to breakfast this morning. We headed to the local Wetherspoons and had a fry up. You can't beat it. I then found some Mr. Blobby biscuits at the bakery, so had to grab one of those. We headed to the beach again. It wasn't quite a full beach day as it was quite windy, so it was a little bit of a chill in the air. I went for a walk into the water. This was the view of Portsmouth. It wasn't quite as clear today as previous, but yet again, really enjoyed it. And then we headed off to a little shop called Oasis. This shop sells all sorts of gifty bits and just unusual things that you wouldn't see in the normal shops. Every year we go here, normally get some gifts for people back home. Had a little wander around there. They had loads of these little houses that my mum actually collects, but the one I wanted to get her, she's already got. So we headed on to where I got this wrong last time, Choir Abbey. Saw the piggies. There was no baby pigs this time. Last time in April there was hundreds of little babies, but we didn't see any. This guy was enjoying his apple, or her apple, sorry. Last time we visited here, we popped our head into the chapel area, but we didn't actually go inside. So we went in this time. Callum and his mum lit a candle for their loved ones that have passed, which was a lovely idea. They just asked for a donation and they do take contactless for that. So you couldn't go up to this part, but you could obviously see it all. It was absolutely incredible. This building is just huge. It doesn't actually do it any justice on the screen. I wandered around and just had a little look. We then headed off onto a little walk down to try and find some red squirrels, but we didn't find any, unfortunately. Even trying to entice them with some nuts. We did, however, come across my favourite animal, some cows. So I spent some time watching them. We then walked down a little bit further to this old house, which was really cool. There was a brilliant photo opportunity to take through this fence here, which was really cool. So I took a lovely video and a photo of that. We then turned around and I noticed that the cows were all walking up to the fence, so I sprinted it up there. However, the flies make me really sad, but I know it's part of nature. We then headed off to Newport. We wandered around the little shops there. Callum's dad bought a new hoodie, and yeah, that was the rest of our day really. Headed to the families and had a barbecue and hot tub party. No spectacular views that night as we stayed on their driveway. The next morning it was a drizzly one. We headed off to this old house, which I would say is called Apple Crumble House. However, it's definitely not that. I will put the name of it on the screen as I don't want to get it wrong. There was loads of history here, so I will put the snapshots on the screen. Feel free to pause it and have a little look through that. But it was absolutely incredible. Really weird to think. So we walked up some steps and all of the steps in the middle were worn, which obviously was where the servants used to go up and down. The grounds were amazing. They were so big. They had a whole field of sheep. But it was really cool and it was free to enter. We then jumped in the car and headed along to Ventnor, parked up the top and wandered through to the beach area. It's kind of a man-made beach here. It was quite stony, really windy and a bit drizzly yet again. We walked down to the front, watched the fishermen come in from their day's fish. And yeah, it was really nice. Another little place to visit that I hadn't been before. I've driven past but never actually been out of the car. Then it was off to St Catherine's Lighthouse. Callum had warned me that as a child he said this was one of the worst walks that he can remember. From this point I was saying, oh, it doesn't look that bad, but on the way back, my goodness, it was one steep hill. But it was a beautiful view. This was the lighthouse. The light was actually on at parts of our visit. Took some photos and made the walk back up. Saw this really cool fairy cottage, which was like a magical little kingdom. Found it on Rightmove, and inside was even more magical than the outside. So it's up for sale, £600,000. Not sure it'd be my cup of tea, but I'm sure it'll be somebody's. We then went for another little drive. This road, strangely, had actually broke off basically. So there was a dead end, so we had to spin around. We then drove off and made our way back to Shanklin. I grabbed some sweets from the sweet shop and we sat down and had a coffee. Callum's mum has been after one of these huge fossil type stones, so she got that, was really pleased. In this shop here, I think it was called Jurassic Gyms. This was apparently a real mammoth's kneecap or something like that. If you like crystals and fossils and anything like that, definitely head to this place as they will have something that you like. And then that was it. We went to the ferry terminal to wave off Melinda and Steve. Scary really, as we were meant to be on this ferry, but obviously we extended it. There's Izzy, bless her, saying goodbye. It's family tradition to wave everybody off that leaves. We all got our torches out and waved them off. And then we went for a little drive to an Asda to grab some more supplies as we were staying for an extra couple of days. Headed to our favourite park up at Seaview, and this was the morning view. Just me and Callum now. We headed to Tracy and Darren's to grab a quick shower, which is really kind of her. So grateful for her letting us do that. Then we went off to a little craft place called, I think it's Ayrton Barnes, just the name up there, which was really nice. They had a jewellers there who were actually making some jewellery as we were there. They were beautiful, beautiful pieces, all unique. Lots of like shell bits. I really liked the next clip. I think you'll see these whale necklaces were absolutely beautiful. Little seahorses, that was a shark's tooth and a stingray. They had loads of little bits in there, some bags, gifty bits. They had an old amusement area, loads of quirky things. And then further round you go, there's like a pond with some ducks, a antiques place I think there was, loads of different bits. But anyway, we had a wander around there for the morning. We then watched these guys making some glass figurines, which was really, really impressive. It was so hot at this window, so I don't know how they work in there, but they were really cute. Look at them. I didn't get one as I'm the most clumsiest person in the world and would definitely break it before it even got home, but they were so impressive. Such a skill, this, honestly. We watched it once at Allen Bay at the Needles, and again, they've just got so much skill. This must take years to master this. I think this one was a little robin that he was making. We'd worked up quite an appetite by this point, so we went over to the pub and got some lunch. Callum got a tuna mayo jacket potato, and I went for a katsu curry flatbread. We walked over to the back end of the little village and went to this little antique shop. I dropped Callum off at his cousin's to watch the football match. I took myself up in Dobby to Culver Downs and chilled in the back doing some editing and just watching the world go by, waiting for the game to finish until we go to a 30th surprise party for Abby to spend the evening there and hopefully get a nice park up tonight. I drove back to get Callum from watching the football at his cousin's. Went through Seaview, which this house to the right here is where we stayed in April. We've spent a lot of our park ups at Seaview this trip and really enjoyed it. It's been totally free. We've managed to have showers at Callum's uncle and auntie's and also at his cousin's, which has been really lovely. We did, however, ring the local swimming pool this morning and they said that we could have showered at theirs for £2.50 each. So if we ever do come back and stay in Dobby, that's probably what we'll do, as that's really decent prices just to grab a shower to freshen up. Then it was off to Tracy's for the surprise party. Abby was generally really surprised. It was so lovely to see her reaction to all of her family and friends. And then we played in the garden with the girls, had some food, and then I went and disappeared off into Dobby and just relaxed. Callum joined me shortly after. And that was it. It was our last park up. We headed straight back to Seaview as we really enjoyed our time there. As I said before, we just felt really safe. There were some fireworks over at Portsmouth, so we enjoyed those. I then got the iPad out and watched a bit of the new Furies season on Netflix, and Callum caught up with the football. Chopped my crisps over the harbour wall, so he grabbed them for me. And this was our last beautiful morning view over on the Isle of Wight for this trip. I'm sure we'll be back, as we've worked out that it's actually really cheap, because we've managed to stay for free every night. Just the ferry, but that is what it is, I suppose. So put some money away each month and we can come back. We headed for breakfast at the festival, which was a little like breakfast shop, coffee shop in Ryde. It was lovely. We both went for a breakfast wrap, which was really, really lovely. And then we headed off to the garlic festival. The Garlic Festival will feature in the next video, as this one is already 25 minutes long. So yeah, enjoy all of that footage next Sunday when we'll be back home after a week back in reality. We spent most of the day at the Garlic Festival, but as the weather was so nice we couldn't resist the last little bit of beach action in the evening. So we headed over about 3, spent a couple of hours there, then went for one last drive around the island. We headed to Sandown, as we haven't spent a lot of time there this trip. We did last time, but yeah, had a nice drive along there. They had these like pedal boats out in the water, which was funny to watch. It was still glorious sunshine, probably about 26 degrees I think. After this we headed to Seaview, said goodbyes to our park up, and then it was off to the ferry terminal to board our boat at 7. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for sticking with us. We really enjoy making and showing everyone these videos. The next video will show our departure from the island, as I'm just a bit cautious that this has got quite a long video. So enjoy this last final clip of Callum watching over our favourite park up at Seaview. Thank you for watching.